had a big discovery. I saw this person on the internet asking why animals aren't afraid of bacteria as much as humans do. Like, animals can eat off the ground. They don't have to wash. They don't have to take a shower every day. They don't have to wash their hands. They wash their face with their saliva. I mean, they obviously are so much more resilient than human beings. Human beings have to boil their water and talking about bacteria and infection here and there all the fucking time. But animals don't give a shit. Animals can eat insects alive, like a dog, a cat can get. An insect can eat snakes. So yeah, why? And of course, I immediately remembered this thing that this interview that I watched with this PhD doctor. He said because we are so separated from nature that we are so we like separated ourselves from nature, not just in a physical sense but also in a psychological sense. When you say get into the nature, what you mean is get into the woods, the place where there's no human intervention, and being inside your own home isn't in nature. But the truth is, nature is just the whole planet, isn't it? And we are the products of nature, and so are everything that we've ever created. They all are materials from the nature. There's nothing that we have that is not from nature. So it's interesting that humans on a psychological level have convinced themselves that everything man-made is totally the opposite of what nature is. And then I went on and think, okay, what exactly... I remembered another post that I saw when people were talking about wild animals, and one person mentioned mice and rats, and another one said mice and rats are not wild animals. Which is bizarre, because now I started thinking about it. If they aren't wild animals or whatever, they're not domestic animals. We never tried to domesticate rats. They aren't domesticated. They are wild animals just living with us. And then, just like cockroaches. And then suddenly it came to me like these two types of animals are not domesticated by humans, but they live with humans. And then we call them both pests. And then I went on to think, actually all the animals and wild animals that try to live with humans are called pests by us, which is just a huge discovery. It's like, for example, sparrows for a while have been considered to be pests because they would eat human food. And basically any animals that try to live with us, any animals, I think they're just really sent from the nature. They're wild. They're still nature. They're not domesticated in any way, and they try to live with us. It's like nature's attempt to integrate itself into us, and we just reject all of it by calling these things pests, and we treat them with despise. We treat them with the most what's the none of this verb? With the most ignorance and arrogance and just blindness, We call nature's invitation, nature's attempts to integrate us, to integrate itself into our lives as pests. Same with, like, for example, when you try to farm and then there are grass that grow in a farmland, and we call that kind of like a pest. What do you call it? It's still like considered to be a pest plant that we need to kill, otherwise they would blah blah blah. Look how absolutely primitive we are as a species. We're just so blind, so ignorant, so stupid, so incredibly Oh my god, retarded, retarded. And we think we are like the top of the nature. We think we're like the most intelligent creature on this in this world. We think we're so good. Oh my god, I mean, look in the mirror. Holy shit. We're like the only creatures in the world that need to be afraid of bacteria, which is just so funny because bacteria are inside of us. And we just got ourselves really like, we manifested this relation, this like a negative relationship with bacteria. I don't know how that happened. I don't know anything about this human species. Like, why? Like, we did come from nature, and how come we just deviated from nature so much? Like, why and how? What is it? What's the problem? Why? Why did this have to be like this? It's just so intriguing how like that person in this interview said, because we create things, but that doesn't mean we need to be so deviated from nature that even bacteria is like such a big threat in our lives. I mean, they can be threats to everything, but not as much as they are to us. Looking at other animals, they aren't afraid. Like, they can kill another animal and just eat directly raw. They don't have to cook their food, and they can live. Oh my god. And this big discovery that anything that comes from nature, that tries to live with us intimately, we call them pests. That's just the biggest discovery ever. You just look at it. We reject anything from nature. We confine ourselves in these little concrete boxes away from anything. No insects are allowed, no rats, no nothing. If they come, they are pests. They're not invited. We separate ourselves from nature. And, oh my god. And then this new product invented called this grounding mat, which is just so funny. It's for you to put your feet on, and so that it has this what's the word? This wire connected to the grounding socket, grounding hole on the socket to connect you with the with the Earth's electrical field, which you can do just by walking outside in nature, by touching nature with bare skin. And they invented this grounding mat for you to stay at home or anywhere indoors and still connected with Earth. I think it's just so ironic. I mean, it's a good product, but it's just so ironic. I just don't understand why is it really evolution that we have gone through, or really the opposite? How do we manage to deviate ourselves from nature while we have never ever left, and we can never get away from nature? As long as we are alive, we are in this nature, and everything, like I said, plastic is nature. You know, I don't like when people just believe like man-made things are not nature. Plastic is just not natural. Oh, it all comes, everything you can think of, everything on the earth is natural. Everything on the earth is from nature. Well, I guess it's for you to define if it's natural or not. I don't think it's good for you if you just really want to buy into this rigid idea that man-made things are not natural. because you're psychologically removing yourself from nature, and this, I think that is one of the things that really alternated like our immune system, because our immune system has been convinced that nature is like an intrusion. Nature is dangerous. Nature, because it's not us. We're not of nature. We're in nature, but we're not like. That's just crazy. How crazy we are. Like we call all things from nature that try to live with us pests. No matter plants or insects or animals. We call people call like pigeons pests. Oh my God. They're really just wild animals that try to live with us. Because we are not away from nature. We are in nature. And we must integrate nature. Oh, Jesus Christ. That's just the most mind-boggling discovery that I've ever realized, Oh my God. Love them. Love them. Anyone that tries to come and live with you, oh my God. They try to be your neighbors. They try to be friends. And they have, in the animal world, like, these creatures, they do not know theft. They don't know they're stealing from you, because in nature is abundant. Everyone just take what they need, and it's all shared. Unless it's already in your mouth or you've captured it. They do not understand that the food you lay around in your place, they do not understand this whole big, large area is your place, and they don't understand that the food you lay around are yours. They're not stealing from you. They're just taking from nature. And we are so abundant as a species. We can't feed everyone. But we just create such horror stories about nature. Nature is all about balance. Nature is all about balance. There's nothing in nature that is unbalanced. And I watched this video of this person that really built a paradise for rats, for mice in his backyard. And guess what? You would expect like an explosion of like hundreds of rats, mice there, but only 10 mice would live there. Only 10 mice. Like they come and go, but only on average 10 mice would be in there. It's like a huge place with a lot of food, just infinite food, but only 10 mice would live in there. Nature's all about balance. We shouldn't be afraid of it. We're getting off this balance. That's why we get sick. Not that nature's making us sick, but being away from nature is making us sick. You think bacteria is making you sick? It's actually a fear of it. Your rejection of this part of nature is making you sick. Everything's so interconnected. If you have one belief, that will manifest in a physical way. Like, if you are really sad, too sad, your body would change. Would have some conditions, or if you're too anxious, and your body would change and get sick as well. It's the same. If we like mentally separate ourselves from nature, you just get sicker. Like the more you are afraid of bacteria, the more you are unconsciously separating yourself from nature, rejecting nature, the more easily you get sick. And I surf the internet hours and hours every day. What I see the most often is just people's this phobia of bacteria. Like for example, like you see let's say this hedgehog, and then you make a post about wild hedgehog, and then in the comments people say, don't touch them, make sure don't touch, they got bacteria, they got this kind of insect, this book, don't touch them, blah blah blah. And any animal you see, there is a person underneath in the comments saying, don't touch them, be afraid, be aware of this and that from nature. Jesus Christ. And they don't do it on purpose. Like, they do it totally unconsciously. They don't know what they're doing. They're just pathetic. I say they're just... I need to feel sympathy for them. For a while, they just really annoyed me because they're just so spreading fear here, and I don't like that. So I just hated them. But now, just looking at them, I just feel they're just really ignorant, and they're just really prisoners of their own mind, and they do not know that. They think it's the right thing to do. We think it's the right thing to do to stay safe. We think it's the right thing to try to be as fearful as possible because that's how we stay safe. But that's not. You know, my biggest question is, if nature's all about balance, and how did we create unbalance? Because we are also originated from nature, aren't we? And how can we just create so much unbalance? Like, we can live in such unbalanced lives. Why? You know, why? Look at all the other animals in the world. All the other animals in the world, they do not have this problem. But us, well, we are really different from the animals. The only thing that we are different from them, nothing else, is that we have a mind. They don't. They just be. And we have a mind. And the mind is the only generator of suffering. If you don't have a mind, you only experience pain, no suffering. Suffering and pain are two different things. Without a mind, pain is not suffering. Because we have a mind, so pain is processed in a way as for it to be suffering. When our mind is trying to perceive the pain, trying to understand it, trying to be like not one with it, we have suffering. You think animals experience fear? Well, they might experience fear in a physical way, but not in a way that we do as suffering. For them, fear is truly just nothing more than a mechanism, safe of defense mechanism. But from us, fear is totally cause of suffering. Why? Because we have a mind and they don't. They're one with nature and we are not. Where does this mind thing come from, though? Where? And how come? It seems like it's the result of evolution, like mind, like self-consciousness. This is a result of evolution, but it doesn't seem to be evolution. If we suddenly become unbalanced, why? It's just so confusing. It's like, I don't know really. We don't know. So there's so much we don't know about nature, like the whales, or those big mammals living underwater. They are really still a mystery to us. We always just try to, the most arrogant, stupid thing that humans do is they try to measure other creatures' level of involvement or advancement by applying our standard to them, like see if they have a language system, to see if they have self-awareness, because that's what we have and we are the best, of course. So we use these standards to measure if other animals are just as advanced as us or not. Well, that's just the most stupid thing. And especially when they try to find, when they try to look in the universe and find if planets have the possibility of life, they measure whether or not they are similar to the Earth, has this same stuff that Earth has that create a possibility for life. Jesus, what if they just have lives that are totally different from us, that don't need air, that don't need anything that we need here, anything chemical that we have here on the earth? What if they just don't need anything? What if they need things that are just totally different from us? And they just try to measure if they have what the earth, if they have water, if they have this and that. I don't know the names in English. And that's just so stupid. I don't know. It's just... Anyway, this video, I was just trying to share with you how we literally call everything from nature that try to live with us pests. That's just the most shocking thing that I've realized that we do. And I just can't stop from thinking how retarded the human species has been. And the biggest confusion is if we have involved, in how can we be so unbalanced? How can we be so problematic? We have so many problems and sufferings that the other animals do not experience. Is this what evolution is? What exactly about us has evolved? Oh, we have created these tools and buildings. That's it. Technology is included. That's it. And if that's the standard for evolution, I don't think so. I don't think that's no evolution. Evolution in a materialistic sense is no evolution. It has to be spiritual. It has to be mental. It has to be something that is not materialistic. That's just it. You should try to think a little bit about this. You will realize that advanced tools means you're evolved. Holy shit. And look at us. What we use these for. Still doing more animal stuff. Doing more mating than all the other animals in the world. And more wars. It killed more of our own species. More than any other animals in the world. We just grew more food. More clothes, vehicles, which just made us moving faster. That's all we did with these. There are no evolution. There's no evolution. It's compassion that we have, and love, understanding of love. That's the only thing that we truly have as a result of our evolution, which the other animals don't understand. Like the animals, I don't know about... I know like some animals can show compassion. Really, I don't have a say here. I don't know anything about them. Like, I don't want to be as arrogant as the rest of us here, feeling like we know pretty much everything about them, just still small mysteries. I say that we don't know a lot about them. Like, I say what we know about them is just a little piece, a corner of the iceberg. Unconditional love is what it is that I'm talking about. Unconditional love is the measurement of how involved any civilization, any creature, any species is. Do they understand or prioritize unconditional love? And when it comes to us, we are still very, very, very primitive when it comes to this. We do not prioritize unconditional love. Not at all. Just look at us. I mean, can you imagine, begin to understand that we still live in a world where there are wars and Any country can get into a war, where there can be another world war, which is I just can't begin to understand. I can't because oh. I just can't see anything more childish than having wars. And I think it's serious adult business. What the fuck, man? That's how you define an adult? What is really the definition of an adult? I think the more a person calls themselves an adult, the more childish they are in a completely unconscious way. Childish isn't a way to describe how much you're childlike. Childish is a different word. Childish is a negative word. Childish means you're just so primitive. You're just so ignorant and you're not unaware of it. Childlike is a positive word. Like the more you're like a child, the more spiritual you are, the more connected you are, the more loving and kind you tend to be, and more curious you are, the more like alive you are as a person. And the more adult you are, the more dead you are, the more ignorant and arrogant and stupid you are, and the more literally boring. Disconnected, lonely you are. I do never identify myself as an adult. Jesus Christ. I think it should only be a medical term, just like gender, sex. It should only be a medical term. It should not be used as titles to label oneself. You should only need these titles when going into a hospital and they ask you for your age to see if you're an adult, so that they gave you this kind of medicine. If you're still underage, they give you different medicine. If you're a female, they give you this. If you're male, they give you that. It's different. It's just a biological thing. It's there. They shouldn't be social labels. And look what we do. Oh my God.